And this is our last episode of our first season.
Congratulations.
How exciting is that? I don't know if I'm excited because the season's over and we can take a break, or if I'm excited because we accomplished 24,
20 something.
20, 30, 24 episodes. Like, if you were here, I'd be like high-fiving you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
We can just high-five the screen. We did it, guys. We did it.
We did.
And we can't forget all the people that helped us get to where we are right now. Because we've had not just us, but a team of people who've been helping us put this
absolutely
together.
Yeah. I mean, certainly thanks to all the people we've done interviews with for agreeing to spend a little time with us, to be in our company, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was fabulous. And then the many sisters who helped out.
We had a lot of sisters do reflections. We had a lot of sisters do guest interviews. And just solid content, in my humble opinion.
Absolutely. And I would suggest that anyone who is just tuning in now for maybe the second or third time could take this little break, this hiatus, and go back to episode 1 and start listening.
You're going to have like
to catch up.
6 to 8 weeks free to catch up on all the old episodes.
Oh, yeah, that's great. They could do like 2 a week. And catch up before season 2 starts.
When you're at the gym, you just put In the Company of Charity on.
Right.
Get your 30 minutes, your 45 minutes done. Mazel tov.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Mazel tov. There you go.
When you're driving to work, you have your little commute.
That's right.
You could be listening to the podcast.
And you'd get to the end and you'd say, oh, that went by so fast.
I must listen to another, clearly.
I'll listen to another one. Definitely set up. I mean, they're definitely worth listening to. There's no doubt in my mind.
Well, we at least know that the sisters are listening. So
yes, hey,
shout out to all the Daughters of Charity. Thank you for supporting us.
That's okay. The sisters are important too. Sisters are people too,
They are people.
Yeah, they are. So they matter. So I want to know how you're doing. Tell me about your new build, your new building, your new furniture. I want to know about, computer cable wires, all the things it takes to build, not just design or develop a new ministry, but actually to build the building. I love building things, so I want to hear all about it.
You should have been the one down here trying to do this.
Oh no, you have to learn, sister.
For all the newbies, my name is Sister Liz Schoberg. I live in Brownsville/Harlingen, Texas, which is way the heck down in the southern part of Texas on the border. I work at Proyecto Juan Diego, which is a beautiful ministry of multiple services. And we literally this week just moved into a big, beautiful building. And I really have, since I got mission down here, it's almost been a year. I'm coming up on a year. It'll be August it'll be a year.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And so I've been a part of the process from the groundbreaking time to our open house, which is coming up in just a few weeks. And so seeing how this thing comes together, everything from the plumbing, IT, electrical. I mean, there are just things that I had never known about a building that now, at least I know that someone knows how to do it. I don't personally know how to do it, but there's a lot of moving parts to this thing.
It's like a body. It's literally like a body. Like it has, guts to it. Like it has systems inside that are working to keep its temperature regulated and to keep its energy going. And it's amazing. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I got to get some. And there's amazing things that happen with new buildings. I love them.
What I'd love to share with you today is the story of learning about the elevator system, because we have an elevator, which is great. But should there be anything that happens awry or things that go wrong, the elevator can be a very challenging thing. So let's say that someone's trying to get from one floor to the next in the elevator and the power goes out. I personally now know how to do this little wrenchy thing and open the door and get this person out of the elevator.
I mean, you're not in the elevator. You're rescuing the person in the elevator. Let's just be clear.
I could conceivably rescue someone out of an elevator.
I think that's great. I don't ever want to be in an elevator stuck, but
which is some Chicago Fire stuff. I'm telling you, it's so crazy.
So shout out to Chicago Fire.
NBC. Wednesday nights? I don't know what night.
I think Wednesdays, it's in there with those other Chicago shows.
But people's faces,
now I won't be able to watch those the same. I'll say, where's the little wrenchy thing?
People's faces while this man is telling them, okay, the person might become claustrophobic and start to scream or yell. You have to keep them calm, and here's what you do, and these are the buttons you press. And I'm like, oh my gosh, just watching people completely interiorly freak out at being given this information.
I'd be like, I don't really want the wrench thing. I'm really okay with that. I'll be a lower level staff that doesn't need the wrench.
In the end, he's basically like, wait for the fire department. But
if the person's freaking out in the elevator, I mean, did you learn what to do if you're in the elevator? Like, is there a solution to that, or do you have to wait for somebody to come rescue you?
You really, being in the elevator is the safest place to be, apparently.
Wow.
It's got circulation of air. It has the telephone button to call out to the company that monitors and who can kind of walk you through. I mean, you basically have to wait till the power comes back on, and then the elevator resets itself, and everything's smart now. So we have smart elevators, not just regular elevators.
So when I'm not locked in the elevator waiting for you to come to rescue me, what else happens at your new ministry or your new building?
So we have many different ministry things that happen. It's a mix of, the healthcare. We have a lot of diabetes, pre-diabetes education programs. We have community health workers that go out and visit people in their homes and talk with them about how to improve their health situations. The other big pieces are civic engagement and citizenship. We have, I think last year we had 900 people come through our citizenship classes.
Wow, that's great.
And over 400 get their citizenship, actually get it. And so it's really impressive. And so that's a huge service that people are taking advantage of with us. And then the other pieces are our family program that kind of reaches out to the lower income families and help them get those soft skills like anger management, financial literacy, relationships, parenting, all that kind of good stuff. And
that's great. Yeah.
People, it's people from the neighborhood, it's community people, and a lot of our staff even come from the area and the neighborhood. And so, it's really neighbors helping neighbors, which is a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. So you're on the border, but you're not. So this ministry is more engaged with people who have already kind of settled in. They're living, raising their families. They're just trying to make their lives better in a lot of ways. But is there activity in your area? I mean, I know the border is just a hot mess right now, and
yes, it is.
Yeah, and so I'm sure that some of that impacts what's happening around you. Even if your ministry isn't specifically for that, but
and we're like the more long-term situation. Mm-hmm. We're not doing the immediate housing and feeding of people migrants coming from over the border. There are different ministries that do that, different churches, and Catholic Charities plays a huge role in this area. with their respite center and everything. I think we alluded to that in the immigration episode, but we do have a number of undocumented people that receive services from us for different things. For example, the family program, a good percentage of them are undocumented, which has a lot of implications for folks trying to improve their lives. For example, they can't get a job because they're not documented, and
Right.
They're living in fear, or they have trouble communicating with their children's teachers and things like that because they don't know the language. And so it's a real challenge. It does affect us, and we're trying to partner and to support all of the organizations and churches and entities that are trying to help this population in this area.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds the same. Working with refugees here in Utica, it's kind of the same. I think I've begun to see that developing a ministry that addresses, just as you're saying, those kind of basic soft life skills, survival skills. How do you get through a day? How do you make sure that not just that you're assimilating or adapting, but the world around you, the culture around you is there, and you can't really you can't buck against it while you maintain your own culture, your own language, your own kind of family structures. There's still things that you have to do. There's certain ways you have to apply for things. You have to send your kids to school. You have to pay your bills. Your diet is totally changed because the food that you were used to eating either in the refugee camp or in the village you just came from is totally different. And there's something very I think really tender about being in that space where someone is they've gone through such trauma, and now they just want to live a good life. They just want to be productive. They want to be helpful in the community. They want their kids to grow up healthy. That's why they went through what they went through. And so to be at that place too, I think is really beautiful. And I love that this is a sponsored work, right? The Daughters of Charity. So we have a real stake in this work, which is exciting.
Exactly. I was thinking when you were talking about some of your lost boys of Rwanda that are up there, and maybe this can be a little preview to the fall episodes.
Yeah. We do have the lost boys of Sudan, and we have some from South Sudan, Congo. These are many young men who are now growing older. They're in their late 20s and 30s, but had been conscripted into armies and revolutionary armies to fight against causes they at 7 and 8 couldn't possibly understand. Taken from their villages, and then just kind of passed around. And so we have a couple of guys who are going to be sharing their stories with us when we come back to the next season. I think next season we'll really have to start looking at some of these really deep issues around displaced people, around people just ravaged by war and poverty and climate change, and just things that are out of their control, but just devastate their lives. So but find hope in places like Proyecto Juan Diego, find hope in areas like Utica that are welcoming to refugees. So there's hope out there, even when it seems so sad and so difficult. So I'm very excited about your new work. Yeah, when I was working at Daybreak and Jericho Way, these homeless day centers, it'd be like 100 people in the great room, and like big, kind of like a gigantic Starbucks model where people are just kind of lingering around and getting coffee, and then sitting in here with like 100, roughly maybe 80% of them are mentally ill and not being treated, and some may have weapons, and that's kind of crazy, but just love them. Just absolutely head over heels in love with every single one of them. It's just amazing.
we could have a whole episode of simply your stories of these, intoxicated, homeless,
Oh, yeah.
smelly,
You're gonna
all of
love
those friends
them.
of yours. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's when people say, "Sister, don't hug me. I smell." I say, "Well, you smell like a human being. It's okay, you know." And then you smell like them for a while, and you kind of remember them. You know, they stick with you. It's okay. It's really okay. So don't ever be afraid of smelling like a human being. But it's when they come in smelling like campfire. It's like, oh, somebody had the fire up a little too high. Got chilly last night. Oh, just
Or
you
some
gotta love
kind of
them. I miss
other campfire, different kind of
that's right. That's
campfire.
right. And then they say, "Sister, how do you know what that smells like?" Well, you know, what are you gonna do?
We
You know
see
what I
many
mean?
things in our ministry. We
We
experience.
do, and I
I
thank God for it every day. Every day. Yeah, it's beautiful. And we do keep company with some interesting people. And the beauty of it is the beauty. I think the beauty of the whole thing is that as we can kind of laugh because it's real. You can tell some real character stories about people that it's Jesus Christ. You know, he's an interesting guy when he shows up in the poor that we serve. You know, it's a fascinating to me.
He probably
I'm like,
smelled at
wow.
different points in time
Oh,
too. I
I'm
mean, come
sure he
on,
did.
walking
Sure
in
he
the
did.
desert as he
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, absolutely. I told you the one guy I had who was a Satanist, name was Seth.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it was his real name, but he called that, and they used to call him Trip because he would have 666 like on his arm or something, and everyone would say, "Sister, we shouldn't have him in here. That's bad. That's like an omen, that's bad." And I'd say, "Oh my goodness." So I would talk to him, I'd say, "Seth, my brother in Christ." Our security guard used to talk about that all the time. Seth, you're my brother in Christ. Grumble. So he said, "How do you see Christ in me, sister?" I said, "Well, Seth, you know, you have no place to lay your head, right? The authorities are always looking for you to kick you out
Right.
of town. You get accused for things you didn't really do. And whenever you get caught, your friends abandon you. So you look a whole lot more like Jesus than I do. Or, I'm not living in that world, you know?" And he would
Oh
say,
my
"Oh,
God.
why you tell me those things?" I say, "Seth, I can only speak the truth to you. I can only speak the truth, you know."
Oh, that is
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah. Yeah. He just looked at me like, "Oh my God." And then he would say, "My father," meaning Satan, my father, my father thinks that, that it's just unnatural. Nuns are unnatural. Yeah, Seth. Oh, just love that guy. Absolutely loved him. Yeah.
That is a true Daughter of Charity story right there. When they write your book for your saintly
It's-
sainthood,
Talk about Seth. Yeah.
I just wonder how many stories like that the sisters have that only God knows, or
Yeah.
only their
Yeah.
local communities know. These things need to be written down or
Well,
somewhere.
as you're saying that, I'm planning a retreat. Well, I'm not planning
Yes.
it. It's already planned and it starts on Tuesday. So thank God I'm ready. But one of I just been really kind of hung up on this lately, this sense of what makes a daughter of charity, um, not just a daughter of charity, but how, when you're thinking about how you distinguish one community from another, like Benedictines are, hospitality and they follow St. Benedict, and Dominicans preaching the word, that kind of thing. Kind of
Hmm.
have like a tag, and I think, well, how's the service of the poor? Which of course is fabulous. I mean, it's great. It's like the best charism ever.
Of course.
Um, of course. But like what makes us so distinct? And I think it's just our absolute belief that Jesus dwells in those who are poor. Not just that he's there, but that he's like alive there. That what you do for them, you do for him. So this retreat, it's kind of using some literature. So when you were saying telling their story, sometimes I think it's hard for us to tell the story. I mean, things happen. Seth is a pretty specific story. He was a
Hmm.
unique. There are a lot of Seths out there. There are a lot of people out there whose stories need to be told, and we somehow become the keeper of those stories. We're with them at a moment in their lives which can be rather significant. Um, maybe they're coming out of jail and they're looking for somebody to just welcome them back to to the community. They're moving on and taking the bold and courageous step to be uh, to move back into housing, which they haven't been in maybe in 10 years. And so to be there at those moments is just like the greatest thing ever. And so part of this retreat is going to be challenging the sisters to say, when we come on retreat, we say we've come there to obviously to pray and kind of reconnect with Christ. We're there for a festive liturgy to, come to liturgy a little bit more intentionally, and to reflect and to use that time to go back out and give better service. And so we're going to talk about how we don't come to retreat alone. That retreat isn't a time, it's not vacation. We're not leaving behind what we're doing. We're actually bringing it into a place of prayer and taking the time to say, who's here with me? And I was thinking about it with this podcast, saying, who's in my company right now? Who has stayed with me? What voice of Christ in the poor that I've served haunts me still, sticks with me? And how do I have to address that and use that time to tell that story, to remind Jesus, hey, what was up with that? What were you doing then? What was I supposed to learn? Or how do I tell that story so others can see the power in your presence in those who are experiencing poverty or experiencing sickness or experiencing some vulnerability in their lives. And we become like the storytellers. To me, that's a really powerful image of who we are as daughters of charity. We carry with us just these amazing human beings who, God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit have told us are the beloved of God, and we seek them out and spend time with them and try to be of assistance in whatever way we can, so that they can see the God in themselves. When it might seem a little not godlike at times, you kind of say,
Right.
"Whew, where is God in there?" So I always think about like the Garden of Gethsemane. It's like Jesus suffering to the point of he's, sweating blood, right? And his friends have all abandoned him. I think, I know that guy, you know, I know him. I know these people who experience that kind of aloneness. But also, the Jesus who's been resurrected and is going to his friends and they're all saying, wow, how you doing? How did you get here? It's like, hey, I'm free of all that. It's great. It's great. So that's kind of what the retreat's going to be about. Like kind of asking the sisters to take some time to meditate on who's still with them, who's come with them on that retreat, and using literature and poetry to help mold and shape the story. So that's my retreat. I'm hoping it goes well.
I'm sure it will be really, really cool. I'm only sad that I'm not going to be at it.
Yeah, I'm sad you're not going to be there too. Yeah, first time though, it's a little scary, and yeah.
It's pretty cool. I mean, we're taking a pause from the podcast just for a few weeks, but during that time, at least for me, happens to be the time that I'm going to go see my family for a week, and then also have that 8-day retreat experience that we all do every year, is that time of 8-day retreat and silence, which it has taken me some years to appreciate all of the silence, but I think I am growing in that and looking forward to it for sure after the crazy year that it's been.
Yeah, I think you'll really appreciate the silence. Don't you always find it funny when you say to people, yeah, it's like 8 days of silence, and it's like, what? You can't be silent for 8 days. Like, oh yes, I can. Watch me. So I relish in the silence. I do. And again, people think that's crazy. Like, no way, because you never stop talking. But I do. I love it. I love it. I'm the one who's going off to Trappist monasteries every chance I get. When I get
Yeah.
missions, the first thing I do, look, where's the closest Trappist monastery? You don't get, other than the Carthusians, I think you don't get any quieter than them. So
One of my favorite
seek.
experiences was going to visit the Trappist monastery in Berryville. Shout out to Berryville.
Oh,
And
absolutely love
if
that
you've
place.
never
Yeah.
been, if you're in the DC metro area, please go down to Berryville. It's probably what, an hour and a half or so,
Yeah.
depending
Yeah.
on where
Not
you are.
much.
And their chapel, at least when we went, was absolutely bare. It
Yes.
had,
Yeah. The one in the retreat house or in
yes,
the guest house. Oh, yes.
the
Beautiful
the
place.
tabernacle, the light, the altar, and just that was it.
Yeah.
And the silence. I mean, I think I never heard or never understood the term deafening silence,
Yes. Yeah.
but it is really palpable, the silence that's there. There is
Hmm.
something, I mean,
Oh,
there's
that place.
something
Yeah. That
special.
place. Yeah. And I guess that was, kind of my point too about the sense of charism. I
Hmm.
mean, without that place, without those spaces that, Trappists and other monastic communities hold sacred for us, we'd just be in the babble of life, and it's so hard sometimes to hear God. And, again, I mean, we're given to God, we're to give our whole selves to God. And sometimes that's hard because it gets very distracting. And so, and that's for anybody. That's not just for, religious women um, or religious men. It's for anyone in the community. Anyone who is seeking to know God's will for them is finding that place where God's voice can be louder than and can be heard through the din of everything around, and can come through us in the way that he's appeared to us in the people that we're with. To me, it's just amazing. Amazing. But when people say 8 days, say, oh, it goes by fast. Get to the fourth or fifth day, and you're like, wow, wait a minute, I'm not
Slow it
ready to go
down.
back. Slow it down. Yeah. First couple of days, you're like, I'm gonna settle in. I got all this time. I set up my little prayer space in my room. Like, yeah, it's great. It's great.
You know,
Um,
people often say, gosh, your life is hard and you guys give up
mhm.
so much. And it becomes this narrative of sisters are so holy and they just, I mean, they have it so difficult and they struggle and it's like you have to give up all this stuff. And I think to myself, I'm usually getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. No
Mhm.
one is crying or throwing up in the middle of the night, usually. I mean, 99%
I
of
was
the
gonna
time,
say,
depending on who
but
you
it
live
could
with.
happen. I mean,
Which
someone could
sisters
get
are in your
sick.
community?
Yeah, somebody could get sick in your house, and you have to
You
respond.
know,
But you're right. The level of responsibility is very different in the
mhm.
day to day.
And
Um,
for, folks like my brother and sister-in-law who have 4
mhm.
kiddos, the only silence they're going to get is if they get up at 4:30 in the morning, which they have been accustomed to do at different points in time, to
Mhm.
just be able to ease into the day, to have that prayer time, to exercise or do whatever else can be done before the kids get up. And that's a sacred, there's something interesting about the middle of the night or the early
Oh,
morning that is just, and I don't know that I can convey it to people who haven't had the experience of it.
yeah. Goes back to the monastic schedule. I mean, anyone who follows the liturgy of the hours, in the actual hours, of getting up at midnight, praying vigil in the morning at 3 or 4 o'clock, is a powerful experience. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I think um, there's always this out, like somehow our lives are more difficult, or that there's some sacred trust we've been given by God, and how to dispel that, I think, is just we try to just live our lives the best we can. But the other is, I was thinking about Pope Francis saying, don't look like a bunch of grumpy old maids, like, I
Right.
mean, it's, it's possible, like, yeah, poor me. I didn't, God called me to this life and it's just been drudgery. Oh my goodness. I wouldn't have stayed if it was that bad. I mean, it's not for everyone who comes. People realize maybe it is difficult for them, and that might be a sign that this
It's
isn't
not
what
for
God has
them.
called them to. But even coming through that process has helped them to see, okay, this isn't what God wants. What is it that God wants? But I think for those of us who come to that place of saying, as crazy as this is sometimes, and why God would call me to this, I think he kind of sometimes overestimates what thinking, really, you think I can do that?
For real.
That, or you really don't want me to do this? You sure? You really don't want me to work with homeless people anymore? Are you sure about that? Because I really love that.
Yeah, for
But
real.
then by saying yes, get kind of catapults you into a new place where you say, here you are. You're here too. I just think, it's just the best thing I've ever done in my whole entire life. It's
It
amazing.
is. It is the
Amazing.
thing.
Yeah,
It
it is. It absolutely is. Yeah. And if I don't smile through more than half the day, then I know something's not right. Because,
mm,
yeah, I just love it. Feel more myself, more my being alive. You know, as as uh, as a daughter of charity, it's great. It's just great. Everyone should try. Try
everyone
it
should be
out.
discerning about these
That's
things,
right.
you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I think you'd be really surprised by, the things that God can ask you to do, give you the
Mm.
strength to do it and the wisdom to do it. And yeah, I recommend it to everybody.
Mm.
Discernment. It's awesome.
So
Yeah.
we could
Yes.
talk forever, which,
Yeah.
it's always good. And we will talk the next time we see each other, which who knows when
Yeah.
that's going to be. But many prayers for your retreat that's coming up.
Well, so thank you for those prayers. I appreciate them. And
And
I will
and
continue to pray for you that you never get stuck in an elevator.
I'm taking
or
the
that
stairs
or if
always
I
and
visit,
forever.
I don't get stuck in the elevator and you misplace the wrench thing.
So, what do we want to say
Yes.
to the people who have persevered and listened to our co-host chat today? Like, what can we say to them that would be a fervorino? My thing, first of all, is please know that we pray for and we love the fact that everybody is listening and supporting the podcast. We really do try to be intentional about the things we're talking about, the topics, the people we invite, and that we're listening to feedback from people who send us emails or who see us and who encourage us in this ministry, because I think it really is a specialized ministry that not a lot of people would want to do or time to do.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, I think that the comments and the suggestions that people who have listened have given us, certainly the encouragement. People have listened and said, "Oh my gosh, that was really good." They're almost surprised it's as good sometimes as it is. Well, yeah, we're okay. We're all right here. But that we do listen and we go back and say, oh well, sister so and so thought this, or someone who was listening thought this. So let's go back and listen to that and get a sense of why would they have commented either negatively or positively about it, and then we'll make the change. Anyone who's listened from episode 1, which again I would recommend everybody do, and listen with some patience of seeing how something like this grows, and if it stays stagnant and the same all the time, then we're not responding to the spirit really that's calling us to do this.
yeah,
Season 1, we're growing and changing and discerning and doing all those awesome things.
many more to come. And if you
Yeah.
have suggestions of people you think we should be inviting, folks you want to hear from, please do not hesitate to contact us.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if you're listening to the summer and we don't shut down the comments, so please, um, react and comment, and give us suggestions for either people we can interview. If you would like to be interviewed, if you have some specialness about you, and you think, hey, I wanna be on that, then just let us know. Let us know.
companyofcharity@gmail.com.
There you go. companyofcharity@gmail.com. That is the email.
Burn that into
Um,
your memory.
that's right. That's right. And if you happen to know one of us personally, and you're very lucky in that you can just call us and tell us.
And so in the end,
Okay.
we say thank you for listening. We will see you in a few weeks. Send us your comments and questions and ideas. We love it. We love you, and we're praying for you. And you will hear from us, and we hope to hear from you. So God bless everybody.
God bless everyone. Have a great summer.
This has been in the Company of Charity podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.